You know, have you ever stopped to think about what really separates a good product from a truly great one? Or, a service you can count on versus one that's, well, a total gamble? It's usually not some big, complicated secret. It's actually something way more fundamental. It's the engine that's quietly driving quality and improvement in the background. And that's exactly what we're going to dig into today: what it means to maintain processes. But before we jump in, let's just start with a really simple question. Think about it for a second. Your favorite coffee shop, maybe the car you drive, or even the software you use every single day. Why is consistency so important? I mean, why do we get so genuinely frustrated when things just don't work the way we expect them to? Well, the stakes are actually pretty high, and they couldn't be clearer. On one hand, you've got inconsistency. That just leads to wasted resources, super frustrated customers, and quality that's all over the place. It's basically a recipe for stagnation, right? But then, on the other side of the coin, consistency. That's where you get efficiency, where you build customer trust, where you deliver reliable quality. This is the foundation for real, lasting improvement. So, the big question is, how do you get from that state of chaos to one of, well, controlled success? The bridge between those two worlds? It all comes down to one really powerful idea: maintaining processes. And that's the core concept we're going to unpack together today. Okay, so here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we're going to look at the ultimate goal. Then, we'll define what maintain processes even means. After that, we'll break it down into its three core pillars. And finally, we'll see how it all clicks together to create this amazing cycle of improvement. All right, first up, the goal. Because, before we get into the how of all this, we've got to understand the why. The whole point here is to make a really deliberate shift, moving from chaos over to control. And really, at its very core, the entire purpose is to improve the manufacturing or production process. See, this isn't just about keeping things the same or trying not to make mistakes. Nope. It's about actively getting better, becoming more efficient and more reliable as time goes on. Okay, so we've established that the goal is improvement. That's great. But now let's get down to it and define what maintaining processes actually means. Like, what are we really talking about when we throw this term around? So here's the more formal definition. It's the act of making sure that your maintenance and reliability activities, they aren't just random fixes here and there. No, they're structured. They're deliberate actions that actually improve the production process by sticking to the right standards and regulations. It's all about being intentional. A really great way to picture this is to think about a master chef's recipe. A great chef doesn't just guess the ingredients every night, right? Of course not. They follow a meticulously maintained process, the recipe, to make sure every single customer gets the same perfect, high-quality dish every single time. That recipe, that's their maintained process. And that brings us to the really practical part, the three core pillars. So if maintaining processes is the what, then these pillars are the how-to. This is the foundation that makes the entire system actually work. And believe it or not, it all boils down to this one number: 3. Just 3 foundational pillars are holding up this entire framework for improvement. So let's break them down. And here they are. Step 1, you've got to understand the industry standards. What's everyone else doing? Step 2, you need to know the specific regulatory requirements you are legally bound to follow. And finally, step 3, you bring it all home by ensuring you are in total compliance with both of those things. So let's just quickly define these. Industry standards. Think of these as the best practices, right? It's the collective wisdom of your entire field. Then you have regulatory requirements. These are the official rules, the laws you absolutely have to follow. No negotiating. And finally, compliance. This is the active state of actually meeting both of those. Because let's be honest, you can't just know the rules, you have to live by them. Okay, so now let's bring all these pieces together. Let's see how this whole system creates a really powerful cycle that turns these abstract inputs into real, tangible improvement. And this chart, wow, it just lays out the entire cycle perfectly. Look, your inputs are the industry standards and the regulatory requirements. The main action you take is ensuring compliance. And what are the outputs? Exactly what we've been talking about: consistent quality and measurable process improvement. It's a super clear cause and effect relationship. And it's so important to remember, this isn't a one and done kind of project. Not at all. It's a continuous cycle. You understand the rules, you build the discipline to follow them, and then you use that discipline to get better and smarter over time. So, as we start to wrap this up, what are the big takeaways? Well, here are the key things to remember. First, maintaining processes. That's how you turn chaos and unpredictability into reliable, trustworthy quality. Simple as that. Second, the whole thing is built on those two pillars: understanding industry standards and knowing regulatory requirements. And last but not least, the real goal isn't just to check a box and say you're compliant. No, it's about using that entire framework to constantly get better.
And that kind of leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Whether it's in your job, a personal project you're working on, or even just how you manage your day-to-day routine. Take a second and think about this. Where could better, more consistent processes create more value in your world?